Casting, and now it looks like we're live. So hello, everybody. Well, everybody. Nobody's on board yet.
Well, and I'm actually on your YouTube page, and the video hasn't popped up yet.
Okay, maybe it'll take a second. Let's see. 0 spectators. So, guys, let's see. Let me see if I can say something in the chat while we're waiting for people to join us. Hello, amigos. Okay, I just popped something into the chat. Did you see that over there?
All right, yes, Sarah's here now with us. Hey, Sarah.
Okay, all right. Now, guys, we were worried.
Hold on, I'm just configuring my chat too.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong with the chat over here. To see all the commanders, all right. Well, people are joining us. We've got 11 spectators right now, which is good, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome, everyone.
Hello, welcome. I'm trying to get my chat going, but it's not like last time. Jen's going to be the chat moderator.
Yeah, my configuration's a little different this time. I'm trying to give me just a second. I'm sorry.
No worries, no worries. Let me start here because I'm just going to accept the fact that I'm not going to be able to see the chat. But don't worry, guys. Jen will read your messages. Now, let me give you guys a little bit. Those of you who are joining us now, welcome. My name is Alberto Alonso. I guess you know that if you're on my YouTube page. And today I'm going to be facing off against Jennifer. She's from Next Step English. She's located or based in Washington, D.C. And, well, speaking of Washington, D.C., today we're going to see how well Jennifer knows her city, Washington, D.C. And she's going to test me with some trivia, and she's going to see how well I know my city, which is New York City. So we're going to learn some English things. We're going to learn some interesting facts, maybe about our own cities today, Washington, D.C. and New York City. And then at the end, we're going to have a little debate, maybe 2 or 3 reasons why your city is the best. And your city, in my case, I'll have to defend New York, and Jennifer will have to defend Washington, D.C. But at first, we're going to flip the script because I'm going to try and catch Jennifer on some Washington, D.C. trivia, and she's going to try and catch me and see how well I know New York. And of course, since this is a live video, we do want you guys to participate, all the viewers. So that said, well, I think that's pretty much the rules. What do you think, Jennifer? Did I explain it well?
Yeah, that sounds good. And I have to tell you that Javier is here saying, come on, Jennifer. So at least one person is with me. Hurrah.
Thanks a lot, Javier. I'll remember that, buddy. I'll remember that.
All right. So should I quiz you first, or do you want to quiz me first?
All right. Well, let's introduce you two. Maybe we'll each introduce ourselves. So this is a good way to before we get started. And then this way, if any of my subscribers want to subscribe to your page, go to your website. So let's do all that kind of stuff to give everybody the info, so people don't say, "Who are you? Who's she?" Because that happens a lot of times. So Jennifer, introduce yourself.
All right. Hey guys, my name is Jennifer. I am the person behind Next Step English. My goal with Next Step English is helping the advanced learners among you really take your vocabulary to the next level so that you can be on par with native speakers and really partake in the full flavor of the English language. I'm on Twitter at Next Step English. I'm on Pinterest, and I've got a small YouTube channel. The main place to find me is on my website. It's nextstepenglish.com. And I do send out free weekly email lessons every Tuesday, full of new vocab, idioms, irregular verb cards, quizzes on my Twitter words of the day, all kinds of stuff to help you out. So hello again, I'm Jennifer, and you can sign up for my email lessons at nextstepenglish.com.
And we have another one as well, guys, just in case you don't know, and you can find it on my YouTube. Jennifer and I have battled before. This isn't our first battle. so to speak. So we did a drinking game last time, and it was finding words in music. Wasn't it something like that, if I'm not mistaken?
It was, and you kicked my trash, as we say in American English. So I'm hoping to get back at you today.
Well, hey, I think it's good fun, but I like the trash talking too. It makes it more exciting. Okay, so let's do this over here, Jen. Well, of course, ladies first. I'm a traditional guy. So we'll do one for one here. You give me a New York trivia question. We'll also give if I know it, I won't answer yet. We'll see if the viewers know it as well, and you can read the comments, and then we'll reveal. What do you think?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, great.
Okay, so we're going to start with a culture question.
Oh, boy.
New York is famous for its food, its baseball, its attitude, and I have two siblings who are from New York, and they're very proud of the attitude, and lots of other things, including its theater. What is the longest running show on Broadway? And I have 4 choices if you want multiple choice, but if you want the challenge, I can withhold those.
The longest show on Broadway currently, the one that has the record now, the longest. We say in English, guys, a show runs. So how long was its run means the time that it's in the theater. And I should know this, being a theater major. And if I'm not mistaken, when I was a kid, it was one, but now it's a different one. Now let's see what the viewers are saying, because I've got my answer. I'm not going to cheat. I'm not going to change it because everybody says one thing.
Okay, well, I can give you multiple choice if you want. Okay, so
multiple choice for the viewers as well, because they may not be familiar with the different Broadway plays.
Okay, cool. Well, and we already have Victor chiming in here saying Phantom of the Opera. And we've got Mr. Houses and Pablo saying hello. Hi, guys.
Hey,
all right,
guys.
Here are your 4 choices for the longest running show on Broadway. A, The Phantom of the Opera. B, A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. C, Cats. Or D, Les Miserables.
Now, you're
Sarah's saying Lion King. Sorry, Sarah, that is long running, but it's not the record holder.
I'm going to rule out one of those.
Okay.
A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. Because
you're right
that's been done several times. And so the other ones were just uninterrupted runs from beginning to end. And all 3 of those that are left have broken records of some kind.
Yeah, that's true. They're all on the top 10 list.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe at their time they got Tony Awards. They all have. They're all worth seeing. In fact, do we have any more answers? I'm ready to answer, I think.
So Victor says Phantom of the Opera. Sarah says Lion King, which, by the way, Sarah was also in the top 10, but is not the record holder. And no, we don't have any other answers. So what do you think, Alberto?
When I was a kid, it was Cats. Cats had the record. It was at the Winter Garden Theater. I'll never forget the commercial. We laughed, we cried. We'll go back and see it a million times. Cats at the Winter Garden Theater. I've seen Cats. I don't like it. The music is beautiful, but the play is kind of eh.
Actually, okay. It's funny. I saw Cats as a kid, and the entire first act, I thought it was just the overture. I was waiting for the dialogue to start. I didn't know what it was going to be like.
See, I know it was huge, but and then up on your list, you said, what was the other one? I'm sorry.
So we've got Phantom of the Opera, Cats, and Les Mis.
Now, Les Mis is one of my favorite all-time Broadway plays. It's called Les Miserables, but in the States, as you can hear, Jennifer and I, we say Les Mis because we're cool. We're cool like that, Les Mis.
Pretty much.
Les Mis is one of my favorite. In fact, one of the books I wrote it listening to the Les Mis. I like epic things, and I wrote it listening to that over and over and over. And that's my favorite of all of those. But last time I was in New York, I went to go see Phantom of the Opera with my mother and my wife. And I remember it said on the playbill, here's some good vocabulary, guys. The playbill.
I'll type that into the chat.
Right, the playbill. It's actually a brand name, but it's come to be known now as the program. Okay, you could call it the program, but in New York, And I think in professional theater, it's called the playbill. And it tells you the billing of the actors. It makes sense that it's called the bill. You know, who's playing who, their experience, and all of that stuff. Other productions, restaurant discounts. And I remember it saying in the playbill, longest running musical. Now, either my memory fails me or I'm totally correct, and that's 1 point for me.
Alas, I'm forced to tally 1 point for you, Alberto. That is correct. It is the longest running Broadway show.
You're
well
talking
done.
to a theater nerd over here. Remember that.
Well, I started off easy. You remember that.
Now, Jennifer, what's your favorite music or play? It doesn't have to be a musical. Do you have a favorite play?
Yeah, mine is Camelot.
Oh, sure, great.
For a variety of reasons, especially the movie version. Vanessa Redgrave is probably my all-time favorite, like, role model in that movie in terms of, you know, the ideal woman. But it's also a play that has a lot of really quirky vocabulary in the songs, and, you know, as an English nerd, it makes my heart sing.
Sure. Well, hey, there's, you know, musicals are a special kind of thing, but in the end, even if you don't like theater, this is what I say about the theater, and I'm sure the theater in Washington as well, the highest standard, the West End in London. Even if you don't like theater, the quality, the production quality, and the voices on these actors, it's impressive. It's impressive.
No, it really is. And Les Mis is another one of my favorites, and there's so much catharsis in listening to those songs. I remember whenever I would be upset about something at work, I would close my office door and play Do You Hear the People Sing on repeat, and it would just help me get all my anger and frustration out.
There you go. Okay, should we go to, I'll give you a question now. Why? Now that was a New York question, guys. We were talking about Broadway, and now I'm gonna give Jennifer a trivia question based on Washington. And if you guys know, you can participate as well. I haven't prepared a multiple choice, but I can if you give me a moment, you know, once I give you the question, okay?
All right.
So here's the first trivia question, the first Washington trivia question. What villain is featured as a gargoyle on the National Cathedral, the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C.?
I do not need multiple choice on this. Let's see if anyone else here knows it before I answer.
Easy
but
ones,
the Washington, the National Cathedral is my favorite building in Washington, and I've spent.
Oh, damn it.
So let's see. Does anyone have any guesses? And in fact, so I know the answer, but if you want to give multiple choice to the viewers, go right ahead.
Okay. Dr. Evil, Darth Vader, or Gargamel? Dr. Evil from Austin Powers, Darth Vader, or Gargamel from the Smurfs?
Gargamel is probably one of my favorite villains, by the way.
But think about it. It makes sense. Gargamel, gargoyle. We're talking about a gargoyle on the Washington. I don't know. Makes sense.
So
I wanted to point this out. I don't know if you noticed this over here.
New York Yankees?
NYPD. Coffee
you're
mug.
kidding.
I am ready. Representing my city.
Yeah, I wore red for DC, but I didn't have any specific garb.
All right, so let's see what the viewers have to say.
Okay, so Sarah says no idea again with a very sad emoji. No worries, Sarah, we're at the beginning.
Sarah, you can do it.
But Victor and Pablo both say Darth Vader. Victor adding a note saying that Google is awesome. So yes, Pablo and Victor, you're right. It's there's a gargoyle of Darth Vader on the Washington National Cathedral.
See? This is stuff. This is the one.
And Victor, you're right. It's there's a gargoyle of Darth Vader on the Washington National Cathedral. Are you picking it?
All right. Okay, well, guys, so the correct one is Darth Vader, as we said. And let me ask you this. Is it really as, I mean, I haven't seen it, but is it really as cool as it seems?
Oh, yeah, it's really cool. And in fact, if you go during certain times of the year, you can take tours where you climb all the way from the crypt in the basement of the National Cathedral all the way up to the towers, and you can either go to the bell tower while they're ringing the bells and be amongst the bells, or you can go out on the balcony and see some of the gargoyles up close, and you can see that one, and it's great because you have you have this beautiful cathedral with all this stained glass, but there's actually a lot of humor in the cathedral. There's also
it's just the fact that it's a cathedral and it has Darth Vader is freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. There's also a really famous plant in the South called kudzu. I don't think you guys have it in New York, do you?
It doesn't sound familiar. It doesn't ring a bell, no.
It's an invasive species that someone accidentally imported from Japan, but it's one of these plants that can like swallow an entire house overnight. And it's really a problem in the South, further south than DC, really.
Right.
But there's actually painting of kudzu taking over the bishop's office in the cathedral, too. There's a lot of little quirks like that.
And I heard that, obviously, I guess gargoyles in the past were put there to scare away the evil spirits. But in Washington, D.C., and this is in my latest book, English on the Go, by the way. I pulled this right out of my book, English on the Go, the Darth Vader thing. And it's because you guys get a lot of rain in Washington, D.C. In fact, according to what I read and what I have in my book, I hope it's right, you get more rain than Seattle.
You know, it's funny. I didn't know that until this morning, but when I was boning up for this live session with you, I saw that by a narrow margin we do. And, I actually wasn't surprised because we don't have rain every day or, even every week like they do. But when we have rain, it comes down heavy. In fact, did you see that there's now a sinkhole in front of the White House?
No, I haven't seen it. Wow.
Yeah, people have taken to Twitter. They're doing political campaigns voting for the sinkhole 2020, that type of thing.
God. Oh, my goodness. Well, yeah, I didn't know that about Washington, D.C., but yeah, you guys get a lot of rain. And, well, that instead of scaring away evil spirits, it helps, drain the rain away from the building, basically.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, let's go to round two. The end of round one, we have a tie.
All righty. Let's see. I don't know if this is going to be hard for you or not. I did not know this until yesterday, but maybe as a New Yorker, you know this. So the Brooklyn Bridge is probably the most famous bridge in New York. When it was opened, it was also the longest bridge of its type in the world. People were worried about how strong the bridge would be. How was it proven that the bridge was safe? And if you like, I've got multiple choice for you.
Let's give them multiple choice. I know the answer.
Ah, damn it.
And I also know who staged the publicity stunt.
Oh, right on. Well, you'll have to educate me because I did not know about this.
I think I could be wrong here, but I think I know the answer. I'm not going to be cocky. I think I know the answer.
All right. Well, for the viewers, and please chime in. A, the army rolled tanks over it. B, a circus performer walked elephants over the bridge. Or C, the mayor and his family camped out on the bridge overnight.
So, how did they prove that the Brooklyn Bridge was sturdy? Sturdy is a way that we say strong, that it's not going to break. If something is sturdy, it's not going to break easily, or at least it doesn't feel like it is. And they needed to prove that because this was a new type of bridge, suspension bridges. And it was the largest. So, of course, people, that's with the first large skyscraper. People say, what if it falls from the sky, So people were a bit adamant. Not adamant. They were a bit wary of going on the bridge. So they did a publicity stunt. Let's see what the viewers are saying.
So we've actually got people guessing all three. Victor says he's going to go with C. The mayor and his family camped out on the bridge overnight. Webster says elephants, and Sarah and Javier both guess A, that the army rolled tanks over it.
That one sounds like it's the most probable. The mayor ones is my favorite one, the most creative one, and the real one is elephants.
Yeah, exactly. I had never heard that before. So something on my New York bucket list is to walk across the Brooklyn Bridge at sunrise with like a hot chocolate or something. I've never
You have to do it. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a thing that people do wrong, and I'll tell you what it is. A lot of people go to downtown Manhattan and then they walk it or bike it over to Brooklyn, and that's fine. But what I recommend is you start in Brooklyn and you grab that hot chocolate. There's amazing little family-oriented cafes right around the bridge, you know, and what happens is, well, you can. The difference is when you're walking towards Manhattan, so you're just getting closer and closer to whatever, you know. The other way, you have your back to Manhattan. You see
right.
what I mean? So, I mean, obviously you can walk it both ways, but that's a good way to go check out Brooklyn. And then when you're ready, what I do recommend is get some ice cream. There's a place that makes homemade ice cream right at the foot of the Brooklyn Bridge. And you can grab an ice cream and then cross the bridge going into Manhattan. And you know what well, I'll get into that later. I don't want to jump the gun. I don't want to jump the bridge. No, I don't want to jump the gun here. But yeah, that's how I recommend it. A lot of people do it the other way around, because then when you cross the bridge, you come into Manhattan, you're in Chinatown. And so it's a nice way to do it. Do it in that order.
I'm going to follow that advice. That sounds like it'd be beautiful, kind of coming into that famous skyline.
Yeah, and you're just like, you're stopping every minute to take a picture. This is the one. No, this is the one. No.
Right.
I mean, it takes a half an hour to cross the bridge, but if you're stopping and taking pictures, it takes over an hour.
Right. Of course.
You know.
All right. Well, that's another point for you. So far, we're both doing pretty well.
Woohoo! All right, I got to make this difficult over here now, because I see the first one you got pretty easy over here. Okay. The Washington Monument opened in 1884. Correct? Well, you'll have to trust me.
I trust you. Yeah, I was just hoping that wasn't the question, because I'm terrible with dates.
No, I didn't put any dates in here. In fact, because I don't want dates aren't interesting. What's interesting is what happened. You know, that's what I think is wrong with a lot of history teaching these days. The dates are important to see the order of things, but we don't need to nail down the exact date of things all the time. So that's why we have Google Calendar. So the Washington Monument opened in 1884. It was the tallest structure in the world until another building took the title, or structure took the title, in 1889. What is that building?
Oh my gosh. I have no idea.
I think I got the second round.
Well, so my guess would be maybe the Chrysler Building or something. The thing is, I don't know when these various skyscrapers were built. And I also don't know that the Chrysler Building is taller than the Washington Monument.
Okay, well, let me give you some options.
Okay.
I just came up with them now. Okay. Now, again, the question, the Washington Monument opened in 1884. It was the tallest structure in the world until this building took the title in 1889.
Oh, wait a minute. I think it's the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah?
I think the Eiffel Tower was built in 1889.
Well, I can give you some options if you want.
Okay, sorry. Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
The first one is the CN Tower in Canada.
Okay.
CN Tower. The next one is the Eiffel Tower, as you just said. And the next one is the Taipei 101.
Okay, well, let's see what the viewers say. I have a guess, although I'm not sure. But, and Victor's saying that when he was in New York, he crossed the Manhattan Bridge and came back on the Brooklyn Bridge. Nice.
That's another way. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's no wrong way to do it.
Yeah. All right. Any guesses on what displaced the Washington Monument as the tallest building in the world?
Good verb there, huh?
Oh, yeah. In fact, I've been typing some of our vocab in the comments so people can find it easily.
Excellent.
Okay, so Sarah Weissa is saying B, the Eiffel. That would be the Eiffel Tower, right?
Yeah, B was the Eiffel Tower, correct.
Yeah, that's going to be my guess, too. I'm just curious as to whether anyone else has some wisdom on this, because it would be a guess. Javier is saying Taipei 101. Victor is saying B, which would be the Eiffel Tower. I think the Eiffel Tower was built in 1889. Well, Was it? Well, listen, that's my guess. I have no idea. Or as my mother-in-law recently taught me, ni puta idea.
Good. That's one we use here in Spain a lot too. Ni
Yeah.
puta idea. All right. Well, the correct answer is Le Tour d'Eiffel,
Yes.
the Eiffel Tower. Pardon my French there. I'm sure it was horrible. Second round, and we've got a draw or a tie. You can say either one, guys. We've got a draw or a tie in round 2. This is heating up, folks. Get ready. All right. Well, I'm ready for the next question over here.
All right. Let's see here. Do you want me to go easy on you or hard on you?
Hey, whatever you think.
All right. Well, I don't know if this is easy or hard because I don't know what you've seen. I'm guessing it might be easy, but this is one of my favorite movies, so I had to include it. Here's a sort of pop culture New York reference.
Okay.
And for all you guys listening, this is one of these classic American comedies that most people of my generation, Alberto's generation, have seen. So in the classic American comedy, Coming to America, the main character goes to New York City to find a wife.
Yeah.
Which borough does he go to and why?
Big Eddie Murphy fan over here.
All right, then I'm guessing you know this one.
I'll be quiet if you want to give the viewers a chance.
Well, why don't you tell them what the names of the boroughs in New
That's
York?
a great idea, yeah. Now, guys, in Spanish, the movie is called El Príncipe de Zamunda, the Prince of Zamunda. But in English, it's called Coming to America, starring Eddie Murphy, and Eddie Murphy, and Eddie Murphy again. He plays like 8 different characters. He even plays a white Jewish man. Remember in the barber
I forgot
shop?
that. He does. My husband told me that when we were watching it together. I had no idea it was him.
The makeup was great. I was like, what? Unbelievable. Yeah. Okay, so guys, New York City is made up of 5 boroughs. It's not 5 neighborhoods. Neighborhoods are Harlem, the Lower East Side, Greenwich Village. 5 boroughs. They're like districts. And those boroughs are the most popular one, and the one you're probably, when you go to New York, you stay on the most is Manhattan. Okay, that's an island, Manhattan. Then you've got Brooklyn, another very famous one. Everybody knows it. You've got Queens, which is next to Brooklyn. You've got the Bronx, which is up north. And you've got Staten Island, which is where the Wu-Tang Clan is from. Know what I'm saying? So,
all right, I'm typing these in so people can see how they're spelled.
Now, the Bronx, you want to know why they call it the Bronx?
Oh, actually, I don't know this. I want to know.
There was a family, and their last name, it was all farmland. Remember, New York was Dutch settled, and then there was farmland. There was a little trading post. And there was a family called Bronk, B-R-O-N-K, that owned a lot of land up there. So when people would go up to the countryside, which now it's not the countryside, they would say, we're going up to the Bronx. And they stylized it with an X, kind of like Netflix did with Flicks, you know, so.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, the Bronx. It's in reference to the people who own the land.
Well, I love that they stylized it with an X. That's something I associate with the past couple of decades. I had no idea they were doing it back
Ever
then.
since Generation X, Kurt Cobain, Nirvana, everything was X. Extreme, you know, energy, ecstasy, even was the most popular drug back then.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. All right. So we've got some input.
Yep.
We have Victor and Violetta saying Queens. And Victor's even saying it with 4 exclamation marks. So what do you think, Alberto?
Well, I'm definitely sure that the prince wanted to go to Queens to find his queen. So definitely. And this is a very special borough for me because when my father left Spain to start his American dream, American adventure, he landed at JFK, but his first apartment and where he first called home was Astoria, Queens. So
you're kidding.
Part of my story starts in Queens.
I love that.
Yeah. So it's not just Eddie Murphy's neck of the woods.
Yeah, that movie is kind of an inside joke for Adrian and I too. So we met because I used to be a docent at the National Museum of Women in the Arts, and he joked, and so we met there. And he joked that, oh, I'm like Eddie Murphy in Coming to America. He went to Queens to find his queen. I went to the Women's Museum to find my woman. So it's
I
kind
love
of like
that movie. That's a movie I could watch time and time again.
It's one of my favorites. It's really good.
Love it. All right.
All right. So that's another point for you. And good job, Victor. Good job, Violetta.
Great job. Great job. Okay, here's one for you. There's a very popular sports idiom that was coined by a president when he went to a baseball game in DC.
Really?
Well, it came from him. So I'll take either one, the name of the president or the famous baseball expression. You can tell me the name of the expression that was coined in DC because of a miscommunication, and I'll explain that after. But there's a very popular tradition today in baseball, since we are talking about the United States and Washington and, well, all the United States. We love our baseball, New York as well. A president was watching a game in DC, and this term came from that experience. Do you know the president or the term I'm referring to, the tradition, the baseball idiom or tradition?
So I am a big nerd for word origins, phrase origins. So I'm really happy you've brought this up because it is new for me, but I'm going to try to think about some baseball idioms. So we have the bottom of the ninth. You can...
the bottom of the ninth means the crucial moment because it's the end of the game.
Right. You can give someone a ballpark figure, which Juan Maria on Twitter this morning actually brought up with Social Graces because he learned it in Seinfeld last night.
There you go. It's an estimate, a ballpark figure.
Right.
You to hit it out of the park, also to hit a home run or to hit it out of the park is to do a great job.
Right. You can take a swing at something, cover your bases.
Sure. Guys, we have about 100 different expressions that come from baseball. I can guarantee it. This is a tradition / idiom. It's an idiom we use as well, but it obviously the idiom came from the tradition.
All right, so I'm trying to think of traditions. For me, tradition.
Think of it. When was the last ball game? Because guys, we don't have to say baseball game. You could just say ball game. When was the last ball game you went to?
A couple of years ago.
So think of different things. See, any of the viewers know it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Oh, right off the bat, it really hit home.
Great expression, sure.
We've also got you can strike out on something.
Sure. Swing and a miss.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So it's funny. When you think of something, I have one tradition that's in my head, and now I can't think of any others, which is eating Cracker Jacks, but I can't think of any idiom.
The national anthem, which is another one. Take your hat off. Oh, say, can you see?
We had to bring music into it for just a moment at least.
Of course. I break into song. I'm on medication too, remember, because of my accident. So
we should have had you sing.
I'm a little loopy.
We should have had you sing something from Phantom of the Opera.
The Phantom of the Opera is here inside your brain, or whatever it says. All right, time is ticking away, Jennifer.
You know, I really have no idea. Victor has offered it really hit home or right off the bat. I can't think of something right now that has to do with a tradition, and I know you're going to say it, and I'm going to hit my head, but... lay it on me.
Okay, guys, you will not go to a baseball game and not have a moment to get up and stretch your legs. It's called the 7th inning stretch. Now, the 7th inning stretch is something that happened in D.C. for the first time. President William Howard was at a baseball game in D.C., and he was, sometimes baseball games can be a little bit long. So what happened was, he got up to stretch his legs in the 7th inning. And of course, what happened is everybody thought he was getting up to leave. So the other fans in the stadium, out of respect, the president's getting up, they got up too. And this started the tradition and the expression, the 7th inning stretch. and it's a chance to rest before there are 9 innings in a baseball game. And before the 7th, they put on some music. Everybody stands up. You go tinkle if you need to go to the bathroom. It's like a moment of pause before the final stretch. So that could, even in business, guys, we're in the 7th inning stretch. It means we're at this last little break, and then we got to push right to the end,
First of all, I never would have gotten that. Second of all, I love that. I'm going to be calling my sisters and telling them about this as soon as we get off the call.
Yeah, well, when you write a book, you research a lot of this stuff as well. And it was fascinating because I know since I was a kid, every ball game I've been at, 7th inning, it's time for the 7th inning stretch. Everybody gets up and they stretch. And this was because one president said, man, I got to stretch. And everybody followed suit.
I love stuff like that. This isn't an idiom, but there's a tradition when you go see Handel's Messiah. When they sing the Alleluia chorus, everyone stands up, and that's because originally when it was first played, the king who was hearing it was so moved by the music that in a sort of burst of emotion, he just stood. And so, of course, he was the king. Everyone stood with him. We still do that, and it's because of that. Just the spontaneous, inability to control himself.
Similar story, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Very cool. All right. So
guys, that is, and it's Jennifer 2, Alberto 3.
All right. Let's see.
You're like,
I know. All right. I'm going to give you, again, I'm not sure what's hard for New Yorkers because I don't know these things.
Also depends too, because I'm sure not everybody would know the theater one. It depends on people's likes as well. So, if you know more about architecture, then since you said it was, just pure luck that my first question was about a building you love.
Exactly. All right. Well, I saw your video on Twitter the other day about Central Park. Really cool video, by the way. So people who haven't seen it, go check it out. Like it.
Yeah. I got a new series coming out. It's my honeymoon, really. And they're 3-minute videos in Memphis, Chicago, all over the United States. And they'll be coming out soon on YouTube here. So.
Oh, rock on.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so this question is about Central Park.
Yeehaw.
Central Park is one of New York's most famous landmarks. The pathways and roads in Central Park were designed to be curved rather than straight for a very specific reason. What was that reason?
Now, I got to say something that Central Park has maintained its same traffic, the same design from day one. Now, we didn't have automobiles back then. We did have horses and buggies, and they needed to be able to get around or through the park. So for traffic is, I guess, but different traffic than today. But supposedly it was designed so well that the same routes that were created for the horse and buggy traffic to circulate freely and not cause congestion in the park are still in use today. So with the automobile. So if I'm not mistaken, that's the answer. And I think it's also a marvel. It's an engineering marvel if that's the case.
So I'm not sure whether or not to give this to you because you're right. Okay. It has to do with horses and buggies, but it's not for congestion reasons.
Okay. All right.
It's actually because they didn't want the pathways and roads to be straight because they didn't want people racing in their horses and buggies. They made them curved to make it difficult for them to race. Although they say that now that's not a problem for bikers, and there have actually been problems with bikers running into pedestrians because they're racing on these curved roads and can't see people.
Yeah, no, the curves are great. And the rest, another reason I was thinking too is maybe because the rest of Manhattan is a grid. It's straight lines. So this could be a little breaking up the monotony a little bit in this big lung in the center of the park.
That's actually what I had always assumed. This was something that I learned last night as I was looking up questions for you.
So it's up to you. You give me the point or not there, because I said horses and buggies, but I kind of, it wasn't the traffic so much as the racing. So.
All right, what do you guys think? I'll leave this up to you. Weigh in here.
I don't mind. I'm cool either way. I do love Central Park, and I think it's a magnificent place that if you guys haven't been there, you're going to want to get over there.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite part of New York City. I could spend all day there.
Amazing. It's just a really amazing place, to be honest.
Javier says no way on giving you the point, and he gives 2 exclamation points.
Okay. As I said, I don't mind either way. I'm having a good time.
All right. Well, it's not my decision, but Javier, I acquiesce to you. Oh, and Sarah says the same thing with a very naughty looking emoji. So sorry, Alberto, you don't get the
Guys,
point. We're back to being even.
I'm going to block and report you guys. If you're on my Twitter, you're out. I'm done with you. I'm not going to give you free English classes anymore. English.
You're going to have to block and report Victor, too. He says, no way, Jose.
Guys, don't even come knocking on my Twitter. Don't even say, Alberto, I have a question. I'm not going to fucking answer it. I don't care.
That's all right, you guys. Come
you
to
guys,
me.
You guys want lessons? Pay me.
All right, well, you'll have to give me something hard for the next question so that
Show
you can...
me the money.
Oh, that's a good idiom. I'm going to type that in the chat. Show me the money.
What about this one? Money talks, bullshit walks.
Oh, that's one of my dad's favorites.
All right, I've got one for you. I don't know if it's too hard or not, but we'll see. Sports question. Right. The Washington Redskins were not originally from Washington. Where was the team actually first based?
This is funny. I can hear my father telling me about this because he's a football fan.
Yeah, I wanted to explain that the Redskins are the football team, right?
Yeah, so American football. So in the States, we call in Europe, what you call football, we call soccer. And here, football is American football with the weird shaped ball. It's so funny. I can remember my dad telling me the history of this, and I can't remember where it is. I want to say it's somewhere in the Midwest, like Chicago or Indiana or something, but I'm going to guess Chicago, but I have no idea. But hold on, let's see if the viewers can help me out without Google. What do you guys think?
They're Googling it. You can't trust them. They're Googling it.
Well, especially because a few of them are clearly on my side.
Yeah, that's fine. They're also the ones who are Googling it, and, you know, that's easy. The idea is to know this stuff, guys.
Well, actually, hold on. We have a rivalry against Dallas. Maybe it's because we came from Dallas. Although I don't think so. I think that's because they're the Cowboys and we're the Indians type thing. Right. I'm gonna guess Chicago.
The team was originally from Boston.
Ah, I had no idea. Okay, you have regained your lead. This is no good.
Boston over here. So 3-2. No points that round. Now let me ask you this, Jenna.
Yeah. Oh, you're breaking up, Alberto. Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, I can hear you again.
Yeah. So I want to ask you about the name Redskins. I know there's been some controversy around that due to the American Indians. Can you explain that a little bit? What the two different sides are there?
Yeah, so this is actually a hot topic that comes up in DC politics perennially from time to time. So our football team is called the Redskins. They're the Washington Redskins. Everyone in the city of Washington can chant you their anthem, which goes, "Hail to the Redskins." You know, I could sing you the whole thing. I won't. You know, and has Redskins t-shirts and things. We haven't been a very good football team since the 80s, but there's still a huge amount of love and pride for this home team, the Redskins. The name, though, is what's controversial. Redskin, it used to be a racial, well, is, I guess, but it's not really used anymore.
Yeah, no one says that, really.
Yeah, I've never heard anyone say it except for the football team, but it used to be a derogatory racial slur referring to Native Americans. And our logo, in fact, hold on, my husband
Oops. I don't know if we're frozen. Supposedly we're live over here. All right, guys. I don't know what happened there. Jennifer is frozen. Are you guys still there? I don't know why. I can't see chats. Let's try and get that done over here. So let's see. Cameraman, no. Sala de control, no. Hangout toolbox. Let's see what this says. I don't know. Is Jenna? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, all right. We got you back.
So yeah, if you come to DC, you can be in on the sort of political debate on that front.
There you go. The Redskins, the Washington Redskins. Is that the most popular franchise in town? Because you have several different franchises.
You know, when I was growing up, it was. We have also a basketball team, which did, by the way, change its name. Its name used to be the Washington Bullets when I was a teenager, but at that point, DC was the murder capital of the United States, if not the world. So they changed their name from the Bullets to the Wizards.
Wow.
But right now, so yeah, people love the Redskins. Right now, we're also really into our hockey team because they're actually doing well, and that's the Washington Capitals. We call them the Caps.
The Caps, okay.
Yeah. So what about New York? Is baseball the number one?
It depends. Yeah, since it's a seasonal thing. You know, it's kind of a toss-up. Baseball, basketball are the big ones.
Right.
Baseball and basketball, I would say. You know?
Yeah.
Those are our two big ones. All right. Let's jump ahead to our final trivia round. At the end of round 4, it's Jennifer with 2 points, Alberto with 3 points. Sorry, 1 point. I'm looking at this. All right. So what have you got for me, Jennifer?
Okay. Well, I'm trying to decide between 2 questions. I came up with a little more than 5 just in case to follow your lead a little bit about difficulty levels. But I'm going to give you a choice on topic. Okay. And then I'll ask you a question. So I have one about art and one about a New York City tradition.
Up to you.
Okay, we'll go with the tradition.
Okay.
So millions of people from all over the United States tune in to watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in New York City every year. Which of the following was not a feature of the original parade in 1924? And I've got 4 choices for you.
Okay.
So A, an enormous balloon of a cat named Felix. B, Macy's employees dressed up as knights. C, live animals, including bears and monkeys. Or D, a float featuring Santa Claus. Which of those 4 was not part of the original Macy's Day Parade?
I'm thinking a float with Santa Claus because it's famous for its floats. And so I'm thinking it's Felix the cat sounds like about the time, I don't know when the first Macy's Day Parade was. The Santa Claus thing could be because of Christmas, but Felix the cat, I believe the Knights thing, that sounds, or no, maybe the 2 floats are right.
Yay! You don't know.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out.
What do you guys think? Tell us in the comments. Oh, Victor says, "Poof, this is a tough one." Yes.
This is impossible. Yeah, I don't know this one, but I'm gonna have to guess.
All right. Anyone else gonna weigh in?
Let's see if the viewers want to give me a hand, even though they always go against me here.
I'm sure you've got some love out there.
I don't need no love.
Sarah,
don't ask me no English. Don't ask me any English questions, guys.
Exactly. All right, Sarah has no idea.
My doggy. My doggy's Simone by my side.
Javier, you get a gold star from me. He just commented, "Are we allowed to mislead him?"
That's fine, Javier. Sounds like Javier's hating on me pretty much, not just playing the game. All right. I'll tell you what. I'm going to answer just because I'm going to say the Felix the Cat float is what they didn't have.
You're right. That has become a staple of the parade, but Felix the Cat didn't debut until 1927, 3 years later. So, hurrah, high five. They didn't have, now the parade
Hey, Javier and Company.
I still love you, Javier and Company. I really do.
Suck it. Plain English.
The one that surprised me was they actually had all kinds of animals on loan from the Central Park Zoo, and they walked all 6 miles with these animals.
That I believed, because they love doing stuff with animals, with the elephants, as you said before, as well. So,
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jen, I got an easy one, but I think I'm going to give you a hard one over here because that last one was pretty tough on me over there.
Damn it. All right. Do your worst, Alberto. I'm ready.
No, I'm going to be nicer. I want to be nice here.
Thank you.
Let's see. The White House, or 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, as it's known. 1800, right? 1800?
Yeah.
1800 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Oh, 1600, but yeah.
1600, okay. Oh, okay, right. Sorry, 1600. I thought, okay, so 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue is the address of the White House. Who was the first president to live in the White House?
Well, so I know it was not George Washington. I want to say it might have been John Adams. I mean,
First president to live.
I'm going to guess that it was John Adams. I know that it wasn't Washington, but I believe it was under construction while Washington was there. I'm guessing John Adams, but let's see if anyone has some insights on this. So, first U.S. president to live in the White House. All right. We've got radio silence from our beloved English learners.
But you're beloved, not my beloved.
Yes, they're my beloved English learners.
Not me, not mine.
Okay, so Javier is saying John Adams. Victor is saying Thomas Jefferson. That could also be right. I know it was one of those early guys. I just don't know which one. It could be Thomas Jefferson. Or it could be, John Adams was my first instinct, so I'm going to say John Adams. But what do you say, Alberto? What is the answer?
John and Abigail Adams.
Ah, thank goodness.
George Washington oversaw the construction and, but it wasn't completed. And it wasn't until 1800 that second president, John Adams, and his wife, the first lady, Abigail Adams, moved in, is the phrasal verb.
Okay, yes. Oh, in fact, I'm going to add that to the comments. And I'm also going to say, I'll give one more idiom. Javier says, stick to your first thought. Javier, an idiom we often use with that is go with your gut instinct. Yeah.
Or trust your gut. Your gut is a synonym for your instinct. It's your stomach.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. So what does that?
That's 4. That's 3 for Jennifer, 4 for Alberto after our 5 rounds. So
I was so close to getting my revenge.
Almost. Not bad.
Hey, at least I did myself a little prouder than the last time. That was a massacre.
Hey. You know your stuff about Washington, obviously. So good job.
Well, and likewise, you're clearly a New Yorker through and through.
Oh man, I love that place. Really, it's an amazing place. All right, well, here's what I decided, because the second part, what we're going to do is point counterpoint, or I'm going to defend one reason why New York is better, and Jennifer's going to tell me a reason why Washington is better, and we'll do that 2 or 3 times. But before, I thought to start on a positive note, I thought we could each say something that we like about the other one's city, and then go into the debate.
Hey, I really like that.
I think Washington is one of the most beautiful cities at night. Because of all the statues, it's a monumental city. And the way it's lit up on the Potomac River and all this, it is really magical at night. And it's got this certain, aura about it, which I don't think any other place has. So it's a monumental city. And at night, you don't want to miss it. It's really cool.
Thank you. I actually, so it does make me feel good to hear nice things that people have to say about my city. I agree with you. If you're ever in DC, one of the things I recommend doing is actually biting the bullet and waking up before sunrise and going over to the Potomac at sunrise from the Virginia side. And you can see the sun rise over the monuments, and you can see them kind of all in a row, and then the pink glow from the sun on the river.
I remember some sunsets and sunrises there that were just breathtaking. And then, when there's that moonlight hitting the monuments and the reflecting pools and these beautiful iconic buildings, it's just really magical.
Well, thank you. So I love New York City, and we're lucky because our hometowns are like 3 or 4 hours apart, depending on how quickly you drive.
That people go from all over the world to visit.
Yeah, no, we're very lucky in that regard. So one of the things I love about New York is also, it's like that Sinatra song says, it's the city that never sleeps. That's one thing when I love Washington, but that's one thing when people come to Washington, they say, hey, it's 10 o'clock and everything is closing down. And that's what I'm used to. And I'm a morning person anyways, but I love going to New York because it's this crazy energy. I feel like a teenager again. You could be 4 a.m. and there's something going on, and people are laughing and talking, and
it's like I was a member of a gym that was open 24/7, 365.
You're kidding me.
So you could literally people work night shifts at hospitals, people work, at airports. These are things that go 24 hours. So this gym never closed.
Wow. See, that didn't even occur to me, that type of just service for living there, because that would be unheard of.
Everything, if you want to have a successful deli, you should be open 24 hours because there are people out there at all times.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I mean, I've been there many times, and I can't tell you how good it feels to be up at 3:30 in the morning, which in DC, if you're up at 3:30 in the morning, you've got to be at a friend's house because there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
But like walking down the street with a slice of pizza and, just talking to your friends and seeing the lights, and it's still loud around you. It's such a vibrant city. I love it.
Cool. All right. Now, why is Washington better than New York City?
All right. Well, I'm going to start.
We've blown enough smoke up each other's butts. Now it's time to get down to business.
All right. Well, I'm going to start with a very practical concern.
Okay.
So although DC is and New York I know is too, they're both really expensive cities in terms of living. DC is one of the cheapest cities to visit because most of our public attractions are free. I know you can pay an arm and a leg in most cities to go in the museums. Here, almost every museum is free. All of our big museums are free. The monuments are free. We've got parks. We've got, the cathedral, the basilica, monastery, all kinds of things, and all of it is free. So, you've got to pay the airfare to get here. You've got to pay for your hotel, but it's really kid-friendly in that way too. You can come here and have a great time without spending money on anything but food. All right.
Well, in New York, there aren't too many free museums or free things, but almost every weekend, every day, you can walk down the street and you can bump into the Romanian festival, and there are rides and so. There might not be as much free stuff, but there's so many surprise things that all of a sudden, and there are free things, free poetry reading, free. But the best thing is the element of surprise, where you're like, oh my God, I'm walking down the street and Cypress Hill is rapping on the corner, with people on top of a van, So there are a lot of happenings, a lot of different cultural things that you walk. Oh, wow, the San Gennaro Festival, the Italian one, Chinese New Year. So there's always something going on.
No, I like that actually. That's very true about New York. That is slightly true of Washington, although not to the same extent and not with the same type of things. We have cultural festivals, but they're widely advertised. They're a few times a year. What you will find here by surprise that can be really fun are protests in front of the White House, no matter who's in office. You know, this is not a political statement from me, but you know, when people are unhappy about something, everyone just gets their poster boards out and goes in front of the White House, and that can be quite a spectacle.
Right, sure. Speaking about the museums as well in DC, my favorite museum I've ever been to is the Smithsonian Air and Space. And that, I mean, I've been to museums all over the world. I've been to the Louvre. My favorite is the Smithsonian Air and Space in Washington. So I'm an aviation geek, that's why, but it's fascinating.
No, it's a great museum. I was downtown the other day. There was actually a line for it that went around the corner, which is unusual, but it's probably our most popular museum.
And they have a bunch of them. They have film and television. The Smithsonian Institute has like a series of museums, and they're just fascinating places.
All right.
Here's my New York defense of New York. And not just against Washington, but against any other city. New York is expensive, as you said before, but you're paying to have everything at your fingertips. Manhattan is an island that's about 2 miles by 14 miles, which is, I don't know kilometers, but it's small. It's not it's not a horizontal city like Los Angeles or London or many metropolises that grow outwards. This is a city that everything is within a 5 or 10 minute cab ride. It's not like Los Angeles where you can take 40 minutes just to go anywhere, or never mind, you got to cross the city. It's 2 hours in traffic. New York is manageable, and you can get around quickly and easily, and everything is, as I said, the expression I'll use is at your fingertips. Anything you want, whenever you want. So you're paying to have that. What Los Angeles has in the space of millions of square miles, well, I'm exaggerating that number, we have in a very small space, and it's all right around the corner.
No, that's very true. And I went there with my sister when she graduated from college, and we walked from one end of Manhattan to the other in an afternoon, you know, and we had street food, and then we ate at a Michelin star restaurant that night. We went to like the top of the Empire State Building. We went through Central Park. It was like we had nature, culture, art, you know, all this stuff.
There you go. Sure.
All squished together.
The best thing people ask me when they go, what do I do in New York? I'm like, just walk around, get lost.
Right. New York will provide.
Just walk around and keep your eyes peeled. You'll see a lot of interesting things.
Well, and the people there are just like the city has that vibrancy. The people there are vibrant. I remember I was up there once. I was coming out of a performance, and I was in a dress and high heels, and I ended up hitching a ride on the back of a mailman's motorcycle and just riding through Times Square and zipping around. And there's a spontaneity to the city that's really great.
Yeah. The city, there's a million things happening at once, and there's all these synapses, and it's just mad. You can feel the buzz, the energy.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. All right, so my turn, my last defense of DC. So New York, like you said, you can go through the streets and you're going to be hit in the face with a million things and all kinds of surprises and delights. DC guards itself more. It doesn't, which is not a defense of DC, actually. It's just kind of the way it is. But it doesn't advertise what it has going on. But if you take the time to research and get to know the city and talk to locals, we have quirky things all over the place. So like you can go to one neighborhood, and there's a place called Bohemian Caverns where my husband and I used to go a lot, where back when things were racially segregated, so blacks and whites did things differently. It was a black jazz club that was big in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s. My dad used to talk about Bohemian Caverns when he was in high school because he was really into jazz. And, you know, you can go there and watch a big band. Before Halloween, you know, you have all the, every year there's a race of drag queens in high heels through DuPont Circle racing. You know, we've got the oldest fish market in in the United States on our Southwest waterfront. You can go get Chesapeake Bay blue crabs. It'll cost you $30 in the Midwest. You can get them for nothing there. Just sit, dipping your feet in the river and cracking them open, eating them. And these are things that tourists don't know about. So if you take the time to research, if you talk to locals, you'll be with locals only.
The key is to go off the beaten path, I think, is the expression that Jennifer's. So this is a great one. To go off the beaten path means if the tourists are all in Times Square, well, maybe you should check out a little Brooklyn neighborhood because you'll be surprised.
Right, exactly. And it's fun. Like the city has a sense of humor. Like you were talking about the Darth Vader gargoyle.
Yeah.
And we also we're a super political city since we're the capital. And there are things that happen here that just wouldn't happen anywhere else. Like when James Comey was testifying in front of Congress, all the bars in DC were filled to capacity by 9:30 a.m. and they were offering half-price drinks on White Russians and like Russian vodka, and they remade their entire menus to be about.
They probably even had a special Comey shot, you know what I mean?
Right, exactly. And it was like half the city had taken off work to go, watch this political hearing in front of Congress, which,
I imagine the last election too. People watched it because I know even in Spain and around the world, I was on my honeymoon. People watched the Hillary-Trump debates like it was a Game of Thrones episode and waiting for the next one. You know what I mean? So people went like it was the World Series. People would fill the bars and watch the debates. It was crazy.
Right. Yeah, it is crazy. So
okay, all right. Well, let's see. My last one over here. We were talking about people. New Yorkers. Well, our city comes really from Dutch, the New Amsterdam before it was New York, and the Dutch are very logical people, open-minded people, and I think we still have that today. We still have that Dutch. We do this way because that's the best way to do it. We've studied it. And, what I don't think, it's not about thinking. It's about calculating. This is the way to do that, and that's the best way to do it. And if it doesn't work like that, there are 8 million people on this island, shit could go pretty crazy. So we've got that craziness, as you said, to give you a ride on our motorcycle, but we don't lose that grip of reality. And I think that's what makes a New Yorker an open-minded, very cool person. Because I always say this: if you're a sexist, a racist, a classist, you don't like people because of their religion, whatever it is, don't go to New York. You're in the wrong place.
Well, and like I was saying with the attitude earlier, the reputation New York has is that if you're a racist or sexist or a bigot in some way, people aren't in DC. People will be passive aggressive with you, which is something I don't like about DC. Right. They'll just say, they just will kind of try to ignore you or whatever. But my understanding is that in New York, people will call you out on it.
Oh, if they see somebody, like, let's just say, for example, like, abusing somebody in the street or beating, some kind of assault going on, don't doubt that New Yorkers won't jump in and stop that.
I love that. That's great.
We are vigilant. And ever since September 11th, even more, like, I don't even need the police to tell me, don't light that cigarette there, because someone else in the subway or in that public place is going to come and say, sir, you can't smoke that here.
Right.
So it reminds me of Police Academy, those old movies, Citizens on Patrol. And we even have a campaign in our subway. If you see something, say something.
Right.
We're encouraged to keep the peace. And if we see anyone trying to break that peace, we will act ourselves as police and say, I'm sorry, not here. I've seen New Yorkers tell people to pick up their piece of trash that they littered on the ground and said, excuse me, sir, you can't throw that there.
See, I like that. That would never happen in DC, or it would be very unusual. But
Dutch,
I like that.
With Dutch people, you know right where you stand. With a New Yorker, too.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
And then what is a New Yorker? Then you add Mexican, Dominican, Japanese. You add all those. And as I said, it's not that it's a salad. It's a smoothie.
I love that.
They say melting pot, but in modern vernacular, it's a smoothie. Because a salad, okay, you got your lemongrass, you got your, and everything stays separate. But here it all mixes together and makes this new, you know, just amazing. Have you ever seen a Japanese Italian girl? Pretty nice mix there. You know,
Yeah, imagine.
really exotic. And I'm just using that as an example, but so it's a cool place, no doubt about it.
Victor's responding to that. He's saying that's a great attitude. We Spaniards should learn from that. Well, Victor, we Washingtonians should learn from that too.
New Yorkers are kind of, and this is the problem. New Yorkers think and know that we're a bit, you know, the United States, because the debate always happens. Oh, New York, Washington's the capital, and then we say, yeah, but where's Wall Street? Where's the bank? You know, where? So, you know, so there's always that argument of like, yeah, okay, but like the capital of New York is Albany. Does that mean anything? The capital of New York should be New York City if we're talking about where the power is.
Right. Yeah.
Not Albany. I mean, yeah, they've got the Senate building or whatever in Albany, but let's be honest, all the shit's happening down in New York City, not upstate.
Right. Well, and a few people here have commented about how many movies New York is in New York City. And I'm not sure how many movies Albany features in, to your point.
So, but you know what? The great thing is that I believe, now I don't know, by train, I think the train service is not that fast, but I know there are a lot of flights from New York to Washington. So if you guys ever go to the United States, that is a good, you know, you can do Washington to get some of the history. I mean, it's a beautiful Arlington. You got the cemetery. I mean, really, you got a lot of great things to see in Washington. And, you know, you spend some time in New York as well. You could split the time between these two amazing cities. And then we're not even mentioning Boston, which is not too far, and Chicago, which is a little bit further. So what are we saying? And we're not getting paid by tourism here.
Alas, we should be.
We should be. The United States has some really amazing, very different cities where not only is the weather different or the people look different, the accent is different, the food is different, but culturally different, you know, and that's cool because my whole life I compare the United States. When I'm here in Spain, I'm like, oh, in the U.S. it's like this in the U.S. But what I'm not realizing, and I realized this when I went through Memphis and Louisiana, what U.S.? I'm comparing the U.S. I grew up in. That's not the U.S. That's one little piece. As I said, Manhattan Island is this. The United States is this. Can't even fit on the screen.
Right. Well, and it's the U.S. is huge, and then things change even within the space of an hour. Like I live from my neighborhood, you can see the Washington Monument. I live across the river in Virginia, but we're practically in D.C. Go an hour outside to where my cousins live, and they've got a dairy farm and speak with a really thick accent and listen to country music, and it's a totally different culture.
Sure.
It's great.
We even noticed it. You cross the river, the Hudson River. You cross it from New York to New Jersey, and it's a different accent.
Yeah.
Just crossing not even a mile. It's not even a half a mile, the damn river. And the accent's different. Oh, I wanted to mention something really quickly before I forgot because I jotted it down. Speaking of the logic in New York, almost everything you see makes sense. And even if you didn't realize it, everybody knows the famous neighborhood Soho, right? You know where they got that from?
I actually have no idea.
It's the neighborhood below Houston Street. So it's south of Houston, Soho.
You're kidding.
South of Houston, Tribeca, where Robert De Niro is from. The triangle below Canal Street, Tribeca.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding. Not at all. I wish. You want to hear the latest one? Dumbo, like the elephant. Down under the Manhattan Bridge overpass. Very up-and-coming neighborhood.
I hadn't even heard of that neighborhood.
People? Are we logical people? Dumbo, NoHo, Soho, Tribeca, the Bronx, because that was their last name.
I love it.
So I'm not joking when I say that. And it's cool. It's cool because I lived in Los Angeles, and nothing against Los Angeles, but there everybody was so like nice to you all the time. But you can't be too, you got to be a little wary of that too. When everybody's nice to you all the time, it's like, in New York, people are nice to you because they want to be, because they feel it's the right moment. I have a minute, I can talk. I'm at a bar, I'm talking to somebody, I'm waiting for a flight or train. We won't force it, but if there's a moment to connect, we will. And a lot of times a lot of people think New Yorkers are rude, but we're just very direct. We don't like to waste your time or ours. So it's more like we're just minding our business. But the moment and you know this, I'm sure you've seen this, the moment a New Yorker sees you holding a street map, they're going to come over and they're going to tell you how to get there, and they're going to be a pain in the ass, and you're probably won't even, then they're going to invite you to their house to a party later on a rooftop in Brooklyn, and then you can't get rid of the people. So we're not rude.
I've actually heard that in Spain, Tenerife is like that they call it Tenerife Amable for the same reason.
Like we won't just do it just because, but if the situation is, as you said, we're quick to just be like, hey, get on the bike, I'll bring you. But we wouldn't just walk around looking for somebody to pick up on the bike.
Right.
It would have to be, you know what I mean? It would have to be, because we're normally just caught up in our own worlds, but we're never too busy to stop and help somebody out. And that goes with the whole thing of why we're watching out for each other. If somebody leaves a suspicious bag or what have you, somebody's acting weird and, hiding behind, who knows, whatever kind of odd behavior or anything like that. So New York, DC, two amazing places you need to see.
Agreed. You guys all have to come here. There are a few comments I want to just address really quickly. Hold on, I got to scroll up because there are a bunch while we were talking. Oh, thank you, Victor. He said next time we'll get revenge. That's right. Next time you're not getting out of a defeat.
Thanks, Victor. Thanks. Remind me what your Twitter address is over here, please.
Pablo says, is Washington the most European-style city in the States? I don't know if it's the most. I know New Orleans also has a sort of European style, a different one, but DC is definitely inspired by the architecture and the layout of European cities. And I know that like Stephen Fry did a series on Netflix called Stephen Fry in America, and he remarked that to him it felt the most European out of any city. I think it depends on what aspect you're talking about, but the layout of the city and the buildings are very European. Let's see. Okay, Pablo says New York also has something special because it's in so many movies. One of my favorite movies in New York is Crocodile Dundee, another comedy classic.
That ain't no knife.
Yeah, this is a knife.
There you go. Everybody loves the old Meg Ryan one where she fakes the orgasm.
Oh, When Harry Met Sally?
That's at Katz's Deli. That's a place I used to live really close to. It's a famous deli.
Have you been to that deli?
Oh, I've been to all the places. I'm a movie buff, so I go to where James Dean took that famous picture. I got my Google Maps marked up pretty good.
Well, when you come to DC, you've got to come to Georgetown. There's a set of steps. They're the steps from The Exorcism or The Exorcist.
The Exorcist. Yeah, awesome.
I haven't seen the movie because I hate horror movies.
Anytime there are movies where the president is involved, or Attack on Washington, Mars, that's when Washington's in a lot of like alien invasion movies.
Yes, that's
like
so true.
Independence Day, End of Days. We're going straight for the White House.
Right, or natural disaster movies like
right.
The Day
We got to get in touch
Tomorrow.
with the Pentagon. Right.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Someone has
feel
asked
like they know Washington too, not just New York for movies, but I feel like I know Washington even though I haven't been there in ages via the movies,
Yeah, no, it is in a lot of TV shows. Like I think Bones is set in Washington, even though it's mostly filmed in California.
House of Cards, please. I'm sure you have a whole bunch of tourism that's coming in just to go to the famous ribs place in House of Cards and go see, where Claire's office is. Oh no, she's not a real character.
That's very true. Pablo asked about cultural differences between people from the West Coast versus people from the East Coast. I would say the biggest one is just the casualness. Like I know my friends from the West Coast tend not to lock their door. Like I have friends in the West Coast who were shocked that you came here and you had to knock on somebody's door before going into their place if they were your friend. Here that would be like, what are you doing? You know, knock, I'll come to the door and I'll let you in.
Yeah, we're less trusting, I believe, than the West Coast as far as they're very lackadaisical there. They're very, in general, of course, we're generalizing, guys. Then there are
Of
people
course.
on both coasts who defy those stereotypes, But since you asked.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that would be the first thing that would come to mind is just the.
Also, remember that the new, I guess, New York, the East Coast was the first area that was settled. So, I mean, I'm sure that has something to do with it too. I guess it's got more roots, more foreign cultural roots. I don't know. Because it was, as the West we know, was discovered by Lewis and Clark. I said Lois and Clark. Lewis and Clark. So that maybe that has something to do with it too. That was, settled not much later, but later.
Yeah,
so
for
there
sure.
they were kind of like, this is different. It's not like that. There it's a big city. There's a lot of here. You don't have to worry. Just the damn engines.
Right. Yeah, well, and it's funny. I had a friend who moved here from Utah, and she told me she was super excited to move to DC, and she said, she said it was different than what she thought. She said, "Oh, out west we have this stereotype of people from the East Coast that they all take etiquette classes and know how to fence and like go on fox hunts and things." And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, there's some people who do that, but that's not like.
I don't know anyone who does that.
Yeah. No, I think I've met one person who goes on fox hunts, but that's because I grew up half an hour outside of Middleburg, which is like horse country. So
okay.
it's different.
All right.
Gil
Any more
says,
comments over here?
we're almost done. Gil says he's having a hard time understanding because he needs practice with his listening skills. Gil,
little by little, man. Little by little.
Exactly. Just Alberto, actually, I've listened to it and I can personally recommend it. Has a great podcast where you can rewind, re-listen, train your ear. And he gives you some great idioms, great conversational English, cultural references. So that's one thing you can do.
As well, like watched it, like how we link our words together. So it can help you. If you know these pronunciation tips, then it can help you say, oh, sure, that's how they put together that sound. Because the biggest mistake is a lot of people read something in English and want to pronounce it the way it's written. And first, we don't put spaces where there are spaces in the sentence. It doesn't work like that.
That's true. All right, so we're done with the comments. From my part. All
right, well, I wanted to say something as well, guys. You got to go to Jennifer's blog, nextstepenglish.com. Tons of great stuff. Subscribe to her newsletter. There's also a blog post that I wrote a couple weeks ago. Was it? It was check out there with audio if you want to get some motivation and some listening and reading exercise. We could post that maybe over. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, in fact, hold on. I'll put the link to that here because I got a lot of positive feedback from people, who had read it saying, wow, this is a really helpful post. And it's, it's been a favorite. So thank you for writing it.
That's why we do this stuff. If it helps, then that's us motivating our students. And that's part of our job, not just teaching them grammar.
All right. So here is the link to his blog post. It's saying I can't post a web address in the comments. But listen, guys, it's nextstepenglish.com/ in fact, I'll put what's after the slash. It's /English.
Yeah, because you guys should be subscribed to her page anyway already.
English-tips. And it's right on the front page there, but it's a really great post comparing how learning English is like getting in shape. And honestly, I have been trying to learn Spanish because my husband is Latin. His first language was Spanish.
Right.
I didn't know any Spanish before him, so this has been a challenge for me.
Sure.
And I've been using those tips because sometimes I have a hard time staying motivated or reminding myself of things that I need to do to actually improve instead of just relying on his English. But
it takes time, like everything, everything takes its time. And once the thing is, you can't rush it. You know,
Yeah.
everything takes time, guys. Be patient. You know, you're talking to somebody right now who got hit by a car a couple weeks ago, and it's going to be, you know, patience. You know, a little bit every day, and just make sure you're moving forward. You can't move backwards. The biggest thing is remaining stagnant, because moving backwards, well, then you know it, and you're like, damn it, I really lost a lot. But being stagnant is even worse, because you're kind of stuck in limbo.
Well, exactly. And you have this false sense of, okay, well, it's good enough, instead of
There you go. It's when you
pushing
hit that
yourself.
plateau at the gym where you're like, yeah, now I can do 30 minutes running like it's nothing. Well, then you need to up it.
Right, exactly. So Pablo actually says it's great to see that you're doing better. How are you doing in the wake of your accident before we sign off here?
Uh, I'm gonna be. I won't be able to step supposedly for 3 months, and then I've got to go to rehab, learn to walk again with that. I'm trying to bend my knee a little bit more every day. I'm in a wheelchair, crutches, really to move around because I can't step, as I said. Tomorrow I'll be seeing the doctor that operated on me. There's one, guys. The word operated always goes with on. So just learn them together. They don't say they operated me. They operated on me. They operated on her, right? Another, see, one of those linking things. They'll go together. You'll hear them together. So the doctor that operated on me will take a look at it, look at my knee tomorrow and give me the next steps. Tell me what's the next step English.
Well, awesome. Well, everyone just give him some love. I know it's hard to lose your use of your leg for a while, so make sure you go show him some love on social media.
I'm staying positive, and it's great talk. It was great talking to you today. Great being with the viewers as well. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys, and thank you, Jennifer, for a nice conversation. And I learned some cool stuff today as well, as always.
Yeah, same. I definitely learned a lot. Thank you, everyone, and see you next time.
All right, guys. Ciao. Let me hit this button.